Never seen one. But I can tell you that it is designed to recharge on household current. Right now, if you were to take a standard electric car, most of them take in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 hours to recharge using standard technology. With the eStore units, because it's a capacitor, it'll be able to restore it off a household current in about 2 hours. So it'll be about 4 times quicker. To get to the 10-minute recharge time, and in the military they can get it down to 5 minutes, you're going to need 220, 440 voltages and more of a commercial power source. But the other thing that's advantage of a capacitor is 1 amp out of the wall equals 1 amp into the capacitor. Battery chargers are only about 82, 84% efficient, so you lose a little bit there. So you will be able to charge it from home, but if you want to have the fast recharging capability, it'll have to be done at like an electric vehicle charging station. The advantage being is every gas station in America has electricity already. It's not like we have to build a new infrastructure. All we have to do is modify what already exists and then put in an electric charging pump.
What do you see coming out in the next few years for someone like that, and even a vehicle that does more than a small car?
Well, let's first talk about the vehicle that you currently own and drive, and that would be that four-wheel drive pickup. I own a Ford Ranger pickup truck myself. It's a two-wheel drive, four-cylinder stick. My last drive in it was 43 miles per gallon, which is matches a Honda Civic Hybrid. So that's your first alternative, is the way you drive it. Next would be there are electric pickup trucks coming, the SUT from Phoenix. But with that, they're going to be expensive as well. However, like we've all been saying, it's only a matter of time for price to come down. But remember, do with what you have today, and do what you can to best maximize its performance, meaning fuel economy. And four-wheel drive SUVs, you know, did they plow the snow, and did that Geo go by you in the middle of winter too? You know, you have to put that on the plate as well.
And just there might be 20 cars behind me. They're passing me when they shouldn't be passing me. All kinds of things. Sometimes I just don't feel safe driving on the road where I'm getting the best gas mileage.
Yeah, and you know, you do need to balance, obviously, your own safety if you're doing something that's maybe a little bit different. But you know, certainly driving the speed limit, I don't think that any of us would want, should feel negative or feel badly about driving the speed limit. It's the people who are not driving the speed limit who are making it unsafe for you. And you know, personally, I've said even beforehand, I'd love to see a bigger social movement around really driving the speed limit. I have 3 boys myself who are 8, 10, and 12, and I want them to learn the techniques on how to drive safely. And you know, you're talking about the gauge on your car. And I'm sure Wayne can talk to this too, anyone here can, that having that gauge on your car makes a big difference. It gives you the feedback right then of how you're doing on your gas mileage. You know, coming in today, I was like so close to getting 90 miles a gallon on the way here. I was like 89, you know, whatever, 8, and I was like, oh, come on. You know, and so it's really frustrating. I was at 90 until I pulled in here, and it dropped down a little bit. We can talk about that, because there are certainly other ways. If your car doesn't have that, if you have a newer vehicle, you can get something you can plug in to get your gas mileage readings. I'll let Wayne talk a little bit.
Let's talk about that safety aspect going down the road, especially down the highway. One of the techniques that I developed is called ridge riding. And what it is you're offsetting yourself in the roadway so your right wheels are next to the white fog line, not on it, but next to them. What it does is it makes you look different than everybody else. You know, we'd all love to have some police sirens and things going on, so we were recognized from a half-mile away. But by ridge riding, you are recognized from half-mile to more, especially by the professional truck drivers. They'll be moving out long before they get to you. You don't impede them, they don't impede you, and it works out real great. And we've got about 5 other techniques that we use to get rid of the proctologists. And they really do work. So by all means, just come to the site and you'll see what they're all about. I can.
Driving 55 miles an hour is a national speed limit. Seems like we used to
take
have
that.
speed limits went up.
I mentioned before that the Milwaukee Hybrid Group is overtly not political in that we don't get directly involved in policies. so I'm speaking for myself now, not for my institutional affiliation. I think we could maybe get more bang for our policy buck simply by enforcing the speed limits we already have as a starting point. And, you know, the 55 debate, I think, gets more complicated and probably has a longer timeline. But simply enforcing the laws that are already on the books might be.
How much would that save, especially in carbon emissions?
Yes, it would. It would save CO2 emissions, it'd save fuel, it'd reduce our consumption, reduce our demand. The problem being is that put a 55 law out there and people just don't follow them. They're not following 65 now, so you have to weigh that, and that's unfortunate. But if 55 were the law, we'd hit it right now.
And the metric you asked for, in terms of how much would we save, it depends. You could run numbers and say, okay, we passed a law and everybody's driving 55, but I think to actually get a real number, you'd have to model it and see how many people really were driving 55.
And I guess I would want to say that simply by passing it may not affect anything at all. If we passed it and everyone continues to drive the way we're driving, it won't make any difference. So I would rather see the focus on, let's have a social movement around actually currently driving the speed limit. We've made it very socially acceptable to speed right now. And if that were changed just as smoking would be, or other things that are not acceptable in the society, that would have an effect if people really did start slowing down on their own.
Last night on the Tonight Show, Jeannie Lee Curtis was on there, and she was talking about how she's driving a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. So what can you guys tell us about hydrogen fuel cells, how energy efficient they are, how much they do or don't pollute?
The problem with hydrogen, a problem with hydrogen, there's many, is that in order to make it available to a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle at scale, you have to start with electricity. You either, and the chemists and the engineers can go into the details, but you either have to get it from water and electricity, or you get it from natural gas and electricity. So you're starting with electricity to make hydrogen to pass through the fuel cell to regenerate electricity. It's a shorter path if you go electricity to battery or electricity maybe to capacitor. It's a more efficient process. There's no infrastructure available. The fuel cells are still not where they need to be in terms of performance and cost on a production basis. Not in the very near future, meaning 2 to 3 years, which is the kind of things we've been talking about. Plug-in hybrid vehicles, more capacity in electric vehicles. That's 2 to 5 year stuff. Hydrogen, others might have different opinions, but I don't think so.
Not only is the time frame out there 20-plus years, but to purchase a kilogram of hydrogen is about $8 in the Washington, D.C. area right now. And that will drive a Clarity, a Honda FCX Clarity, about 70 miles. Okay, so $8 to drive 70 miles. That's what you start to base it on an economic basis. And even that, you're looking at a $200,000 to $300,000 vehicle that has a performance of about maybe a Honda Civic, maybe a little less. And the fuel is no cheaper. In fact, it's more expensive over the same distance as a regular gas car. It's all going to come down to economics, even if it does have no emissions. There's emissions at the plant. That's it. It's safe, and it's just as safe as the gasoline car you have. If that pulled across, you could blow up a small building with the amount of gas that's in your car if it was vaporized. But it's safe as it is.
Now, I know you all have lots more questions, lots more things you'd like to know. These guys right here are really amazing guys when it comes to their knowledge about vehicles and alternative fuels. And I encourage you to talk to them after our session if you have any more questions. If you'd like to see the Zen vehicle, please see Tim. Also, in front of you, we've got some of the session evaluations. If you would kindly fill that out, we very much appreciate it to learn how to improve these sorts of sessions in the future. Thank you. Thank you.